Hey guys, Dave Ottman here again. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about some of my favorite techniques. One in particular that I think gets overlooked. Uh, Big controversy about it. Love it, hate it. That's really not the discussion today. Bottom line is I got to fish in tournaments where guys can use the Alabama rig. So if I'm fishing in a tournament against guys that can use it, I have to know how to throw it. I've got to be able to use it. Uh, Awesome bait. I think there's one thing we can all agree on is it is a fish catching machine. The umbrella rig that I really like to throw, or the Alabama rig I like to throw, is the umbrella rig Flash Mob Junior. It's a little bit smaller than your average umbrella rig or Alabama rig. The way I like to rig mine is I like to bend these arms out to about a 45-degree angle. So this one just came out of the package. But I like to space these arms out quite a bit. Now, see, I spaced all those arms out, and then you got this one that sticks out right off the back of the head of the Alabama rig. I like to take that one and bend it straight down. So that's how I like to run my A-rigs. Now let's talk about equipping them with jig heads. So I always like my Alabama rig to run straight and not do this whole twirling thing that some of them do if you put the same size jig head on all the arms. I'll start off, depending on what depth I want to fish, will depend on what kind of jig heads I'm going to throw. When I'm fishing anywhere from 15 to 20 feet, I'll normally throw about a half ounce on the arm that's going to run directly off the bottom, so that'll act as kind of a keel to keep that Alabama rig running true. Then on these two lower ones here, I'll run about 3/8 ounce jig heads. That one run. And then follow suit with the two top ones here. These ones will be about 1/4 ounce jig heads. There we go. So we have our A-rig all ready to go. All you need to do is add whatever type of swim baits, curly tail grubs, whatever you want to throw on your A-rig. I prefer like a 3-inch Keitech minnow or a net bait little spanky, works great. Awesome bait to use in the spring or in the fall. I haven't had too much success in the summer unless I'm ledge fishing on some deeper, cooler lakes. But awesome all-around bait to throw. Let's talk about the jig heads. Now when I'm practicing on a new body of water, I don't necessarily know what's there, what's in the water. It's really frustrating when you lose one of these because you got, a couple bucks worth of baits, a couple bucks worth of jig heads. The Alabama rig alone is about 10 bucks depending on what you're throwing. So you have a lot of money on the line. What I've done is I went to a real light wire jig head that I throw in practice. The reason I go with that light wire is if I hang up on something, I'm normally throwing this on 20-pound test fluorocarbon. So I can go ahead and pull on that Alabama rig and those hooks will normally bend out. And at the very least, I'll get my Alabama rig back and I'll just have to change out the jig head or bend the hook back in just for practice. For the actual tournament, I would change out the entire rig, throw heavier hooks on there because now I know exactly what casts I'm going to be making, where I'm going to be fishing, what kind of cover is going to be there. As far as my Alabama rig rod and reel, I go with the Enigma, the HPT series. It's a 7'11", extra heavy. Also makes a great punch rod. But this rod for throwing that Alabama rig, you got to be figuring you're going to be throwing anywhere from 3 to 5 ounces of bait there. Once you add in the jig heads, the Alabama rig itself, and then all the baits. And it really loads up nice to get a good long cast. The reel I'm using is the new Ardent Sea Force reel. This thing will throw that Alabama rig a mile. Equipped with 20-pound test fluorocarbon. I like the fluorocarbon. It's much more forgiving than throwing it on straight braid. I know a lot of guys say, oh, I got to throw 65-pound test braid. Not necessarily, especially if you're throwing these smaller Alabama rigs, you're in really clear water. Try a 20-pound test fluorocarbon and you can thank me later. The gear ratio on this reel is 7:0 to 1. What I like to do is throw it out there, count it down to whatever depth I want it to be at, and I'll slowly do a sweeping almost a sweeping hook set and reel to get those blades and those baits all moving in unison together. And then I'll reel it a couple times and then snap the rod, because if you ever watch a school of bait fish come through the water, if they change directions, they actually tighten up into a school. So what that Alabama rig will do is it's flared out like this. You're reeling, you snap that rod back, it'll actually flare. And that's when a lot of your hook sets will come up, or a lot of your bites will come up. You can also change direction with it. If you watch the school of minnows change direction, they compress and they all change direction all at once. So you can do that too. If you're reeling on one side of the boat, go ahead and snap that rod over to the other side of the boat, and you'll also trigger a lot of strikes that way. That's really about it with the A-Rig. I hope this helps. I hope you can catch a couple extra fish. I want to thank Enigma and Ardent for supporting me this year. Really excited to get our tournament season started. I wish the weather would cooperate a little bit. It is pouring down here in Mississippi. But hopefully we'll be able to get out on the water soon, and looking forward to it. Have a safe season.